This is Becky with Grebec Knives. This morning I'm going to do a video on making a sheath. Now I'm going to have a little tell on myself here. I made this nice sheath for this very nice Goldilocks knife. I'm not sure you'll really get to see it very well, but he made this Goldilocks knife, set it back on my table for me to make a sheath. Now I've had several tries at it for some reason. This one has been a problem child to me. But I got it to this point, and it was beginning to look really nice. I was getting ready to punch it and stitch it and finish it up today. He'd like to take the knife to market on Friday, tomorrow. And I sat and looked at it and said, this is a left-handed sheath. We don't usually make left-handed sheaths for the table at market. When we do, they usually sit there quite a while, so we've learned we usually only make right-handed sheaths, and we will make left-handed sheaths on request. But I'll finish this up. We'll put it on the website as an option for any of the Goldilocks knives, but it's not going to work for tomorrow. So I need to make a new sheath, and Greg said, perfect timing to make your video. So I'm going to do that. Now, I use patterns. I use manila folders, which I had an abundant supply of from a previous life that we had here at the house, and I had to have some reason to use them up. They work great for this. The reason I ended up with a left-handed sheath was I put the pattern down on the leather upside down. Gives me a left-handed sheath. I did both the top and the bottom. So today I'll pay a specific attention. Another thing I do, I use pen to draw out my pattern. I know it's not recommended, so I'm just giving you a heads up. If you're watching this as a how-to, that might not be a piece you want to pick up. You're supposed to use the smooth side of the leather and use an awl, but I started this late in life. My eyes and my strength don't allow me to really do that very easily, so I use a pen and I work on the flesh side of the leather. Both of those things are probably a no-no, but that's how I do it, and my sheets come out pretty nice. I also started life as a leather worker using a box cutter. I had one, I had razor blades, and now that I'm used to it, I don't know that I could actually change off of it. So now that I got all that out of the way, if you like our videos, please subscribe, give us a thumbs up, leave any comments you have on what you may have learned through this video or what you think I could do better in this video. I'm always willing to learn. As I said, I do come out with some pretty nice sheets, but I'm sure there's easier ways to do things than I do them. Since, as I said, I work on the flesh side of the leather, the first thing you want to do is you want to check the leather on the smooth side to make sure where you're laying your pattern is clean and good. I mean, as you can see, I don't know if you can see, but there's places on this leather that I would not like for to be on the face of my sheath. So I've checked that all out, and I sort of have an idea where I'm going to lay my leather down. Another thing I have marked on my pattern, smooth side, leather side. This is the smooth face, so if I put this face down, it will be a right-handed sheath. Same thing with my face. And I tend to place my patterns in a way so that I can get the most use of my leather. I've got some welts here. I might be able to fit them into a spot that's going to be I can't really talk and work, I guess. So I'm not going to talk through a lot of this, but I'll jump in here when I have something to say. All right, now I have my main pieces separated from the body of the leather. I'm going to go ahead and trim them up, cut them out. One thing I try to do is keep the knife straight up and down so I don't hold it at an angle and put edges on your leather. You want your leather to have a nice, smooth, flat side. So when you put them together, you don't end up having to clean up as much to get the leather even. So that's what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go on and finish getting these cleaned up. One thing I didn't have when I started, I have this little piece of scrap leather that has a little bit of rouge sharpening compound on it. And I use this to keep my blade. It is a new blade, but I tend to try to keep it, I don't know what the right word is. I keep it sharper. And this is not working well here. I'm not at my normal, here. If I put it on the edge, I keep it at an angle. I had a blade sharpener that was made specifically to keep razor blades sharp, and it was at about an 11-degree angle. So as I'm moving across the leather, I'm keeping it at a slight angle and just trying to keep that edge on this blade. It tends to make them last a little longer and work a little easier for me. I learned this little trick for all of my tools. It took me forever to figure it out, but all of my cutting tools, I tend to use this little leather strope, I guess it basically is, to keep a good edge on them. Now I'll finish this last piece. Okay, I've added a couple more tools to my collection out here. I have a hole punch. I guess it's 2 millimeters. That's what it is. I have a cutting block, and right here on my sheath, where the strap is going to separate from the leather, I want a hole there at that intersection so that it keeps it from ripping and tearing more. So I now have a hole right there, and I'll just draw up from there to cut that strap out. I have another one right up here. This is actually less than a 90-degree angle. Anywhere you have really sharp angles, it is better to go on and cut the hole, use a hole punch to achieve that angle. I don't have it through. Just a second here, we'll get it. There, got it. Sorry, Bear. My dog was laying underneath the counter here. He didn't like that pounding. There. Then that piece comes out pretty easy because it's drawn between the hole there and the hole there. So, all right, I have all my pieces cut out. I have a bunch of scrap. I find I throw a lot more leather away now than I did when I first started. I used to save most everything thinking I could use it. I find out I don't. So I have my main body, and let's put it together. It's going to go like this, and then it's going to go on the hip here. Flat side is toward the front. This is a right-handed sheath. Yay! I'm in my workshop area, and I have a very small workshop area. I tell people at market that they say, don't you have a stitching machine? It's like, no, I don't have room for a stitching machine, but I don't need one. As I said, I don't do a lot of leather work other than sheaths. I do some fun things, but I'll make a box, I'll make keychains, things like that, but not for sale and just for personal use and for friends and family, gifts and the like. I start with a Dremel tool. I'll get all these edges to make sure they're nice and flat. And then I move on to some sandpaper. Oh, I noticed I didn't finish this top. I ought to finish cutting this top in. And Greg and Damon, my husband and son, asked me, why didn't you cut that to the pattern? It's simple. I end up having to fold this down. I'll skive it, and then I'll fold it down. And if I cut this too narrow, then I have to narrow the mouth, the throat of this. So I cut this a little long, and I'll trim it to shape once I get it folded down. So that was where that came from. When I'm using the Dremel, I get a lot of leather dust. I tend to put a mask on, just to keep me from having to breathe the dust. Okay, that's the main thing right there. And then I start with 220, and I go through 400. Okay, I'm finishing up the sanding. I did a 220, a 320, and a 400 on these edges. Just the edges that I'm not doing these because this has a lot of work left to be done. I've got to get the welts on there and put the face on, but these edges are pretty much done. So now I am going to bevel the edges and then get them set up, and we're going to get it dyed. Today I'm using a little bit of a different dye. I frequently use a dip dye method, but today I'm using a color. Because of the color of the knife, I want a nice light, simple saturation on these. I'm going to be mixing quite a bit of alcohol into the dye, which sort of gives it it dilutes it. It gives it a weaker effect. So let's see what we got here. I forgot to do the top of the, I forgot to do the mouth. Let me get that taken care of here real quick. That's simple and easy. That's the 220. I'm trying to hold it flat so it's a nice flat surface. And then we can go on with the 320. Doesn't take much once you get the basic shape and edge that you want. 320, and then I'll finish it up on 400. And also, the one more thing I should do is the welts. If I can find them. I got one. I know I cut 2 welts. Oh, there it is. When you go to glue these, you don't want the flesh side to be so smooth. The glue needs something to dig into. So I take my 180, which is about, I think I just threw it away. I gotta get a new one now. I'll take my 180 and get that this side all roughed up so that it'll accept the glue a little better when we get around to gluing it. That way I don't have to get all the sanding stuff back out. All right. Ready for beveling. I think I showed this earlier with the razor blade, but I keep my beveler with a little bit of an edge on it. Once again, I hold it and just move it along this surface. I do both sides. I don't know if it's necessary, but I do. And then the last piece, I have a piece of thin leather sitting around. I run in there and I try to take any edge that may have formed on it. Not a lot, just a touch. Now, this guy, and I do both sides. Oh no, I don't do both sides because the welt's got to come up here and lay flat. So I just sort of do the middle. Like I wouldn't bevel where 2 pieces are going to come together. Right? You want this edge to be flat. You don't want it beveled. So I got the inside of this done. And I'll do the outside. All right, so it's all beveled. Let me double check, make sure I got everything, front and back. My dog just got up on my bed. What are you doing on the bed, Bear? Oh well. The guys are outside working on something, so he's going to keep me company, I guess. Okay, I don't know if that fan is going to be a problem on this video. I'm new to this, but since I'm going to be dyeing, I have a fan running. I do that with gluing and dyeing. As I mentioned, I sort of want this watered, I want a watered down lip color for this sheath. So I'm going to use a little bit of golden brown. just got dye all over the place like normal. I should have gloves on. They're coming next. Get dye on yourself. A little bit of alcohol and a paper towel. Pretty much takes it off. Now let me get my gloves on like I should have done to begin with. I have a little more alcohol, or a little more dye in here. That's a pretty good size sheath. Let's see. I'm going to put at least twice, if not 3 times as much alcohol in here. Get it stirred up pretty good. I'm not sure if that'll be enough, but we'll give it a try. I had my dye cloth out. I've got a piece of rubber back down here, and then a bunch of different cotton that will absorb dye if I mess up. As you can see, dye tends to get everywhere, no matter how careful I am. New wool dauber. And here we go. I really don't want to put this on too heavy, but I don't want it to be, I want it to be nice and even as best I can. That's side one. Now, the inside of this belt loop will be showing. I don't put a lot of dye in there. I just sort of like to give it some saturation. And also this belt snap strap. I'm getting the edges. And I'm almost out of dye. I'm not going to have enough. Okay. This is something new to me. I don't do this way. I've never done this before, actually, quite this way. I want a little extra because I will need dye throughout the process, and I don't want to have to mix it again. It's better if it's consistent in color. I'm not weighing it. Sometimes I weigh. At least I'm just going by the seat of my pants for. And always put your lid back on the dye thing. There's always time to put the lid on. That's what I've learned. All right, so this thing is dyed, and it's going to sit here for a couple hours. And when we come back, I will skive the belt loop I will put a snap on the face, put the welts on the face. Once the belt loop's got, then we can glue that down together, glue these on, and we're well on our way.